Good morning, everybody. I'm Rebecca Pearce. I'm the head of sustainability for CBRE across EMEA. And for me, wellness is the human aspect of sustainability. It's very dear to my heart as a subject. I worked as an architect for many years. But in the early 2000s, I did a master's degree in human resource management, just for something different. And I majored in human performance in the workplace. So bringing architecture and human performance together now, over the last couple of years, is obviously something that was bound to happen. Now, this morning I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a couple of pieces of research that we've done and then put wellness into context for CBRE as an occupier. The first piece of research is one that we do every year, and it is around the occupier's perspective. So we conduct a survey of sorry, the voice is already going. We conduct a survey of major corporate occupiers around their intentions for the year ahead and their views on property. This is the headline infographic, and as you can see, workplace strategy in pretty much in the middle calls out a couple of really key headlines that stood out for me. One is around the fact that people are thinking differently about their workplace strategy, but another is about wellness. So we'll come on to that. When corporate occupiers are thinking about their workplace strategy, what are they thinking about? Now, interestingly, for many years it's been about costs, reducing space per person, and really looking at business benefits around space. But in the last couple of years, we've actually seen that perspective change. So now they are looking at more people-oriented aspects. So their major aim in the last, I think it's, pretty much a couple of years, has been around collaboration with customers, colleagues, and co-workers. So that's very much around the people within the workplace. We also asked them about their perceptions of what their workforce wants, so what they are planning for their people. And interestingly, this year, indoor environment quality is the most important thing. So they think that that is the most important thing for their people. Now, last year was the first year we asked them about wellness programs, and we got quite a surprising result. So 74% of corporate occupiers last year said, well, in the 2015 survey year, actually said that they were running a wellness program. This year, even though we're asking mostly the same people, we got a lower result. So how could that actually happen? So this year, 56% of people said that they were running an active wellness program, and 15% said that they were planning one. Now, does that mean that all those people have dumped their wellness program? I don't think so. I think there's just a higher level of appreciation of what a wellness program actually means. We also asked them that. So the pink results are 2015, green is 2016, and you can see that every factor here has actually increased. So what is in your wellness program? Primarily awareness sessions. We didn't ask them, well, I don't think food options was a choice they could make last year, but obviously that is very prominent in people's programs. Mental health awareness has dramatically increased. So, and then you can see a couple of other options down there. Even sustainable design and building certification is increasing, which is good. The most interesting thing for me is that wellness seems to be affecting people's building selection. So the people occupiers, the people asked, 39% of them said that they had a preference. Oh, actually, no. If you add up the three on this side, you've got 72% of people saying that they have a preference, whether it be marginal or imperative, for a well-certified building. Now, given that there aren't very many out there at the moment, that's quite surprising. But for me, it actually says there is a market here, and this is something that we need to address. Now, the second piece of research is one that we conducted in-house. I mean, CBRE are very engaged with the wellness argument in terms of our own people, but also in terms of services that we provide for our clients. The second piece of research is an experiment that we looked at on our own people. This was conducted in the Netherlands, it was basically, I'll walk you through the way we actually did it. So what we were looking to try and establish is what are the most important factors that you can actually use to influence your people, and what benefits can you actually gain out of this. So very much in the style of Alan previously, we're looking at how to convert wellness activities and initiatives into productivity and commercial benefits. So if you consider a company of 100 employees, this seems to be a nice little number for us to deal with. One employee is 1,824 hours per annum. If we think of, from that 100, we think of 30 people as working at their absolute peak. So, they're on those people. But you've also got 70 people who are not working at their peak, and I think we've all had those sorts of days. So if we consider that those people are working at about 65% of their full capacity, we're looking at an overall productivity level of about 75.5% on average. Now, what if we look at those 70 employees who aren't working at their peak and we try and raise them up a little bit? What do we need to do? So our experiment actually looked, it's academic research in conjunction with the University of Twente in Amsterdam. We conducted a 7-month study. We have a control group and an experimental group. And we also used the Zylstra's rating scale of mental effort. So that's how hard do you have to work in your mind, in your body, to actually achieve what you need to do every day. Had 120 people in 2 groups, as I said, and we've got 11,000 data points from both qualitative and quantitative biometric research. So we looked at aspects of ventilation, light, introducing circadian rhythm lighting, water, nourishment. I'll come on to some of the actual experiments, activity, mind, and comfort. Now, those concepts are probably pretty familiar to everybody, largely associated with the well-building standard. Now, our experiment actually showed quite interesting results. So I'm just going to refer to the actual results here so I don't get things wrong. But by introducing circadian rhythm lighting, we noted a 12% improvement in performance. And we introduced these elements piece by piece until the very end when we combined things. So there's a 12% improvement in performance. Largely, we believe, down to the impact on sleep and wake cycles, hormone release, helping sleeping disorders, depression, and seasonal affective disorder, amongst other things. The nourishment experiment was probably my favourite, where half of the group got to drink green smoothies, half got to eat a sticky bun. Choose what you want to eat. We got them talking, so their minds were active, the nutrients actually went into their system, and then they needed to do a recognition of, I think it was count the V's in this piece of text. So they all achieved it in about the same period of time. The people who drank the green smoothie, and this was not your sweet smoothie, this was a spinach smoothie, they scored 91% on finding the V's in that piece of text. The sticky bun eaters, they only found 46% of V's. So think about that when you have your next snack. So we saw an 11% improvement in the green smoothie drinkers' productivity. From an activity point of view, we saw a 12% improvement in performance, and these figures are all around the same area, so just over 10%. What we got them to do was some gentle aerobic exercise, and then, again, measure accuracy and mental acuity. From the mind experiment, we saw, again, 12% improvement in performance. Now, the mind was largely around stress, and we had a few different experiments here. Some of them were around people meditating and then doing a task, so they were less stressed. Some were around people having to stand up in front of their colleagues and sing a song and then do the tests, so they were more stressed. So, and bear in mind, these were all people volunteering. But the mindfulness meditation obviously showed a reduction in symptoms of anxiety and pain, depression. The effect was about, apparently, around a third of the impact of antidepressants over a period of time. And this was an academic research exercise. So comfort. In terms of comfort, we were looking at plants in the office space. This one achieved about an 8% improvement in performance, and interestingly, there was no real difference between the real plant experiment and the pictures of plant experiment. So, but they were both better than no plants at all. So, on the graph you can see here, the top line was the test group over 7 months. The bottom line was the control group, who had no experiments done on them at all. So over the period of the year, of that 7-month period, you can see that as people are getting tired, they're working towards summer, especially in June and July, working up, have to get everything done before the holidays. People's performance was dipping, but the dip in the experiment group was significantly less. I think it's quite interesting that everything went up about April, so this is springtime. This is lovely. That's where we are now. So think about that as you go to work on the sunny day. But essentially, there's an average of a 10% performance improvement between the two groups. So that is quite significant. Now, if we want to look at how that plays out in terms of commercials, you've got your 30% of people, the 30 people working at full strength, the 70 people who are increasing their performance by the 10% referred to here. If we average that out, that's about a 7% overall increase in productivity for the company of 100 people. What does that mean? If you think of an hourly billing rate of, this is saying €100, but think of it as £100, what does that actually add up to? It looks like just over £1.2 million across the 100 employee company. So that's quite significant. So why wouldn't you invest in these things? If you can either get more out of your people, or you can give them something back. What if you actually give those people 30 minutes back a day to do something innovative, to do something that they want to do? It could be still work-related, but it can benefit your company. What does this mean for real estate? Now, it's quite interesting the way that the talks are structured this morning, I think, because the responsibility for these initiatives is really shared between all of us. And the ability to impact things is different depending on your place in the property life cycle. So from a developer's point of view, you're more concerned with the air, light and water. Landlord, you're more about the managing of things. And occupiers, this is what you can do for your people. Think about the activity, the mind and the comfort areas. But really, this is shared across the life cycle. Now, just to talk a little bit about CBRE's activities. This is our LA office. It was the first well-certified office in the world. We worked closely with Delos as they were developing the the system, and this is a pilot certification. But we've gone on from there, so we've got several, we've got a very close relationship with Delos, and we've got several other projects on the go across the world. So this is our Madrid office, an extension to our already LEED Platinum office in Madrid. And we obtained, 2 weeks ago, we got a WELL Gold certificate here. It hasn't really been announced very widely in the press yet. It's the third certified space it's the second certified space in Europe, and the third certification. There's one base building in France. But having been there a few times, it is an amazing space to work in. It's got some really interesting technologies in there, and just some nice design decisions as well. Now, what else are we doing? We're continuing to do research. So the research that I've just described today will be out probably in the next month or so. But we already have a wellness in the workplace research is really around the trends, the roadmap towards research, towards wellness, and how we see things moving in the future. That's available online. And on the left, we have our services collateral. We're actively talking to owners, occupiers and developers about making their spaces better for their people and making spaces better for their tenants. And I'd be happy to talk to any of you afterwards. Thank you.